believe atheists can get married?
I think atheists get married because they want a tax break. I don't see the point.
Well, you just articulated a point. The government benefits are one of the reasons why both atheists and religious people get married.
An atheist getting married. Why don't you just live with your partner, okay? Whoever it is that you're dating, you're at the stage you said, I don't know if you live with your boyfriend or whatever it is. Why take the next leap?
Is the only reason theists get married because God says to? Is that the only value that marriage has to religious folks? Can you not see any appeal in formalizing a commitment to your partner in a way that has some cultural gravity to it?
If you're wearing crosses for fun and,
I mean, if you're actually asking the question, I mean, because then I would just be pledging the fact that I would want to be with them forever.
But you can just be with them forever. So what is it that you crave that when you want to get married?
It's formalizing the commitment with a culturally consequential ritual. Why does someone need to believe in a God in order to value such a thing?
What's that next step for you? What does it mean? What's the difference between dating and marriage?
Because it's a commitment.
Is dating not a commitment?
It's a commitment, but it's saying a next step. It's solidifying it.
Okay, solidifying what? Because if
solidifying a bond between two people that love each other.
Okay, but what is solidified? If you can then jump into that next commitment, which is the exact same as dating, and you can sleep with other people, and you can put topless photos on the internet, what are you getting married for? Pictures on Instagrams to say you did it?
It's a cultural ritual. There are lots of cultural rituals that add weight to things we value. This question is like asking, why have Mother's Day? Can't you give your mom flowers on any arbitrary day? Sure you can, but there is something satisfying about solemnizing it with a dedicated day. I really don't see why a God is necessary to see value in that.
If you are a person, you view yourself to be a non-believer, you should realize that this entire Western perception, this new atheistic, the dawn of atheism that we are living within right now.
I didn't know that atheism dawned just right now.
It's very new to the world. It's almost as if we are a unique experiment.
There have been atheists for thousands of years. The Soviet Union was officially atheist for the entire duration of its existence. China is officially atheist. It's not a new experiment just because it's increased in popularity in the West in the last few decades.
And if you have a question, you go, well, how do I know God is real? Well, something that should maybe register you as common sense is that the people in charge are specifically doing everything in our society that is antithetical to the Bible.
Everything that's antithetical to the Bible? The people in charge are regularly boiling calves in their mother's milk, are they? They're muzzling their oxen while they're treading grain? And even if they were, why would that prove that God exists?
It's like they know God is real, and so the way that they are combating him is introducing the exact opposite of everything that we learn in the Bible.
What would be the point of combating God? If they know he's real, they must also know that there is no hope of successfully combating him, shouldn't they? And even if they do believe God is real, how is that evidence that their beliefs are true?
Right, so the Bible says marriage is between a man and a woman. Well, what we know that the Satanists that are running our society are going, no, actually, it can be between everyone and anyone.
Where are there no legal prohibitions on marriage at all? I'm pretty sure marrying within your immediate family is still illegal on the vast majority of the planet.
And why not between a horse and a human? Because that seems to be where we are headed.
How do you figure? How many people have you found who advocate for this?
If they weren't so intentional about trying to attack Christianity, you might be able to hold on to the belief that God isn't real.
By that logic, the folks who zealously attack Islam secretly believe it must be true. Actually, by your logic, the fact that you're attacking atheism is evidence that you secretly believe the atheists are right.
You were atheist for a long time, but now you're realizing this is bigger. This is good versus evil, like these demons versus angels.
I mean, I definitely think that over the last 2.5 years, I've been able to identify the existence of evil that I didn't think existed.
What does that even mean? There are lots of sadists out there for sure. Why is that evidence that a God exists? It looks to me like it's stronger evidence against an all-powerful and loving God.
And that pushed me a little closer to my roots because I grew up Christian. I wouldn't say that I'm like a full-blown Christian again, but I'm now realizing that I've had some experiences too, which I haven't really talked about too much publicly, mostly because after, Tucker Carlson talked about his supernatural experience, people dunked on him, including myself, and I'm very embarrassed about that.
Really? You're embarrassed that you dunked on Tucker Carlson for sharing a bed with 4 dogs and thinking he was mauled by demons when he woke up with scratches on his back?
Mine wasn't like, I got, attacked by demons. Mine was actually a very positive experience, and it made me very close to humanity, like understanding and appreciating people's humanity first and foremost, before seeing them as nothing more than like a political figure or a political ideology. I think that we've been going back to brainwashing. I think a lot of us have been brainwashed by our political system into dehumanizing people who disagree with us.
You don't see that coming from the pulpits?
Without realizing that, the only way we come up with solutions in this country in a democracy is if we encourage conversation between Americans, regardless of what they believe politically. It tends to have a more moderating effect as well, right? And you get a better sense of who your fellow Americans are, as opposed to having people in positions of power tell you who your fellow Americans are and scare you about the other side and all of that.
If you're worried about dehumanization, shouldn't you be more concerned about who your fellow humans are and not just your fellow Americans?
And so I just feel like there's something bigger than us, and it's hard to explain.
Is it really all that unreasonable for someone to see how much religious folks struggle to explain their spiritual views and infer from this that those views likely just don't make sense?
I'm not really big into religious doctrine per se, but I definitely don't think I'm an atheist anymore.
Right.
Yeah, this is the first time I've said that publicly.
Right, which is amazing. I mean, I think it's something's on the move, and I keep saying that. It feels like there are so many people that are having that sort of a spiritual awakening, if that's what you want to call it.
For a lot of people, what's on the move is the audience they're trying to grift. There is also no shortage of people who try to evade the social consequences of their bad behavior by running into the arms of people who will literally overlook anything if you pay lip service to their religion.
And recognizing, whoa, what is happening is so evil that it is ancient.
Yeah, sadism, greed, hatred, and all that stuff have been around for a while. I don't see why that requires the involvement of any woo.
There's something ancient about what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And the answers are not going to be in these fickle day-by-day discussions. And we need to, what actually has been happening since the beginning of time. And when for me, that was kind of the most natural thing where I was like, wow, this is like way deeper than I ever imagined. And it is, you're right, it's something happens that is it's like evil by biblical proportions, right?
Yes.
It's like biblical. We can't be the same species if you're okay with what they're doing. Like there's something so much deeper.
Didn't Anna just explain the problem with dehumanizing others for disagreeing? When that went into one ear, did it just come straight out the other without hitting anything in between? Did you both forget that as soon as she said it?
Candace Owens with the facts about Christianity.
If you are a Christian like me, actually, if you are not a Christian, I especially want to say this, because when I was in university, your girl, I think, locks arms with atheism. Like, when you are a leftist, you must therefore be an atheist. And I was living my worst atheist life, honestly.
Yes, you definitely have a history of going with whatever worldview is most socially and especially financially advantageous to you. Remember when you successfully sued your hometown's Board of Education for being racist against you? Then after you started grifting from the right, you claimed that you have never once experienced racism?
You're Catholic.
I am.
I just found this out today.
I'm a Catholic. I was actually given spiritual guidance by Catholic nuns when I was 11 and 12.
That's incredible.
I believe in God. I believe in Catholicism, what it stands for. We all do in my family. We're a big Catholic family. And I take a lot of comfort from it, actually. And I have a lot of debates with people like Richard Dawkins and these guys. And I'm like, ultimately it comes down to this for me. The atheist can never explain to me what happened before nothing.
I can. There never was nothing, therefore there isn't anything to explain. Even if time has not existed infinitely, there was never nothing, because there obviously couldn't be a time when at the very least time itself didn't exist.
And because the human brain cannot answer that question, because how can you?
Yes, nonsensical questions are typically pretty hard to answer.
There has to be an acceptance. There is a higher being. There has to be. Otherwise, you'd be able to answer that question.
Why does there have to be a higher being to answer a question based on a false premise? And even if there are questions that humans can't answer, why couldn't it be possible that there are questions that no entity at all can answer?
And they look at me completely enraged. But I'm like, no, you can't answer it, because you'd have to be a superior being to a human being to be able to comprehend that kind of question. So because we can't comprehend it, there has to be something bigger out there.
Absolutely.
So you admit that you're asking a question that you can't even understand. What if the reason you can't comprehend the question is because the question itself makes no sense?
Why are you wearing a cross on your neck?
Because I don't see a cross as religious, so...
Okay. Just like you don't see a marriage as religious.
I don't think that a marriage...
have a meaning. This is why it's like we're out of stage and people are like, what is a woman? Because they just go, well, we're going to call it a marriage, but we're going to sleep with other people. We're going to bring in We're going to outsource raising the kids, or we're never going to have kids. You're calling it a family. It's not a family, and this is what it is. The words have no meaning.
The fact that people use words to mean things that you don't use them to mean does not mean that they have no meaning at all. As Wittgenstein pointed out, words mean whatever people use them to mean.
There are going to be tons of Christians hearing this that really don't know much about what happened in the Soviet Union. But they are waking up to the fact, and I'm one of these people as well, that the public school system is a problem.
In the school, a subject to learn, it was called scientific atheism. So they said atheism is science, scientific.
Wow.
Well, Candace has said that she doesn't believe in science either, so I don't know why she would care about this.
More clarity becomes provided the deeper you get into your faith. I went from being faithful as a child to an atheist in my young adulthood, and was brought back to faith because I was, involved in a non-denominational church. And now I'm going to be Orthodox Russian by tomorrow. Okay.
If you think that's a religion worth joining, why are you waiting until tomorrow?
Well, they want you to believe that God isn't real, that like the theory of evolution, like you're an ape.
An ape is just a mammal with fully rotating shoulder joints. If you acknowledge that you can lactate and rotate your arms all the way around, you're admitting that you're an ape.
What happened was just over time, like you used to be a little chimpanzee.
No, you never used to be a chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are not our ancestors. Chimpanzees and humans both evolved from the same ancestor.
But then with time, this is why you learn about the theory of evolution, Homo sapien, Australopithecus, but then we were Homo erectus, and now you're a human being.
I don't think it happened in that order.
Isn't that the definition of Satanism?
Yeah.
Like to believe that like Earth is the kingdom?
What does Earth being the kingdom, whatever that means, have to do with evolution?
Yes, and that is what these people were pushing. And so once you start to realize that Satanism is real, that these people who created everything that we view in Western society to be real believed in Satan.
What makes you think they all believed in Satan?
Right? They know God's real, and yet they're convincing everyone that God isn't.
Evolution only contradicts a literal interpretation of Genesis. There are lots of Christians who believe in it.
And so when you speak to people that are super rational out of school, you're like, well, the evolutionary theory makes sense. So it makes sense to you that you started as a chimpanzee. Like, that's a faith, buddy.
Nobody says that they started as a chimpanzee. I believe I descended from non-human animals, but the reason why is because it is consistent with the fossil record and corroborated by how our DNA looks. That's an inductive inference, not faith.
It makes sense to you. And if you say to them, like, of course you went to the moon, then you start talking about basic science, but they don't actually know. They can't talk to you about Van Allen belt. They don't know anything. It's a faith.
I can talk to you about the Van Allen belt. People who don't believe that the moon landing happened think it's impossible to go through the Van Allen radiation belt and survive. This is false. At the speed the Apollo vessels were moving, it takes only a couple of hours to get through them, and they expose you to no more radiation than getting a couple of CT scans. To everyone who helps me out on Patreon, you're a big help. Thanks so much.